ஆமா வசனம் வழிகாட்டி வழிகாட்டிடா
Good morning, students. Good morning, students.
Good
morning, sir.
Good morning. Okay, in this semester, I am handling the subject data warehousing and data mining. So now we have to discuss what is the basic history about the data warehousing and data mining. So what is the data warehousing and data mining? So whenever you want to discuss with the data warehouse and data mining. So here in all over the world, we have the huge data nowadays you are using. That is the petabytes up to. So now this data we have to arrange it in a particular format, that is simply call it as data warehouse. So in that format, what you require, that information you have to collect it using the data mining algorithms. So you have to mine the data from the used data. That is simply call it as data warehousing and data mining. So here in our subject, we have the totally we have the 6. We have the 6 units. So in all these 6 units, mainly we have to discuss what is the basic history about the data warehousing and data mining. So here we have to discuss with the 3rd and 4th and 5th units and the 6th units. These all are we have to represent it as data mining, whereas here 1st and 2nd units mainly we have to represent it as data warehouse. Now we have to discuss with the first unit. In the first unit, mainly we have to concentrate on why data mining, what is data mining, and what type of kinds of data you have to mine. So in all these 6 units, mainly we have to discuss with the first unit. In the first unit, mainly we have to concentrate on why data mining, what is data mining, and what type of kinds of data you have to mine. So in all these 6 units, mainly we have to discuss with the first unit. and what kinds of patterns can be made. For example, some of the data in databases, some data you have to in the form of text format. So you have the number of patterns. Some of the data you have in the form of videos. Some of the data you have to represent uh, images. So you want to what type of pattern, various kinds of patterns we have to mine by using the data mining techniques. So what are the technologies, which technologies we have to use? OLTP, what kinds of applications we have to use, and what are the issues, how to visualize the data, how to measuring the data similarity and dissimilarity of the data. These all information we have to discuss in the first unit. Now in today's class, we'll start the first unit, why data mining, what is the data mining, and what kinds of data you have to mine. I will show you in PPT.
Independent of any program plan.
See here, mainly in this unit, we have to concentrate on why data mining and what is data mining. So first one, why data mining? So here we have the explosive growth of the data from terabytes to petabytes. For example, in older days, we have to use the only whenever you want to store the information in the files only. But nowadays, the data we have to store in the format of databases and big data. So whenever you have to introduce, so these all data we have to dump it into the databases and big data. So now this data we have to anonymously have to increase from terabytes to petabytes. So that is the explosive growth of data. So here we have to see data collection and data availability. So automated data collection tools and database systems, web computerized society. So here, whenever the all are computerized nowadays, so automatically the data you have to collect it from the various resources, and the database you have to store the data into the databases and applications. So whenever you are using the webs, so you want to search the particular keywords or the web related information you want to store, or registration purpose, registration form, or all data you have to collect it. So here, this is the way you have to collect various sources in all over the world. So now this data we have to anonymously we have to increase from terabytes to petabytes. So the major sources of the abundant data. So where the data is huge data you have to involve. First case is the business, like e-commerce websites. So all the products information and customer information. So what they are doing, the transactions, what is the stock information. So all you have to represent it as major sources of the abundant data. Second case is the science, is the remote sensing operations. Like for example, you have to use So whenever you have to using the remote sensors, for example, you have to consider for example, you have to consider this is the remote sensing coordinate values. Whenever the mouse you have to change or one electronic equipment like mobiles have to move from one place to another place, that the coordinate values you have to change. So that is the remote sensing information. Every information you have to represent here. That is the remote sensing information for the numerous of people. Whenever you are using this remote related information, that time you have to collect the huge data from this remote sensing applications. The similar way bioinformatics, whereas whenever you have to doing the operations on various complications of the human body, that time you have to this bioinformatics systems, and similar way scientific simulation like aviation cases. You have to use this huge, you have to collect the huge amount of data, whereas in science. And similar way, society and everyone, that is the news, digital cameras, and YouTube. So nowadays, media is most powerful compared to the other one like daily papers. Nowadays, you are using most of the cases through digital media. That is the news we have to represent it, and YouTube. So these all are huge amount of data you have to collect it from the various sources. So automatically the data will be increases a lot. Now this data in the form of in up to petabytes. From these petabytes of data, you want to a particular information you want to search. Is it possible? So it is not possible, whereas whenever you are using the databases. So now you have to search from the huge amount of data by using the data mining concept only. Here you have to see we are drowning in data. We're starving for knowledge. Necessity is the mother of invention. You have to simply call it as data mining, automated analysis of massive data sets. So whenever you want to mine the data, first, whatever the data you have, that is a huge amount of data, like in petabytes, the data, petabytes of data, you have to arrange it into the in a particular format. That is the media related information we have to store here, and a Facebook related information we have to store in some other place. So like this way, you have to arrange it. Directly you have to go to that place and directly you have to collect that data. So that is easily way you have to mine the data in data warehouse. So based on that concept, you have to implement it. This is the data warehousing and data mining. So here, see here, this is the data mining. This is the evaluation of the process, that is evaluation of databases. So here, in older days, already we'll discuss, in older days, you have to store the information. Generally, you have to use the files. Before the files, you want to store the data in a particular registers. So before 16,000, that is empirical science, you have to main. and 16,000 to 1950, up to 1950, each discipline has grown in the theoretical component. So whenever you want to store the information, you have to write data into the documents like Alapatra Gandral. So you know that. So the data you have to store into that. But nowadays, the data you have to store it in the computers. Theoretical models often motivate the experiments and generalize our understanding. So next one is see here from 16,000 to 1600 to 1950s, you have to store the data in a theoretical way. But 1915 onwards, you want to store the information in the computer in computers. In first case, we have to store the information in files. So 1950s to 1990s, the data we have to store into files and as well as databases. Okay, after storing the data into files and databases, so whenever you want to search a particular information, it takes a lot of time to search that information. So now we have to use in all over the world, we have the different types of databases. Some databases are relational databases, some data XML databases. So like this way, you have the different databases. From all those databases, you want to collect information. It is not possible in older days. Nowadays, you want to search search the information from various databases. Nowadays, we have to use the data warehousing and data mining. First, we have to the data you have to arrange it into the in a particular format. Then after you want to mine the data from that database, that is from the data warehouse only. So here in the data science, whenever you have to involve, so the ability to economically store the megabytes of petas of data, store and manage the petabytes of data in online. See here, this is the older days. You want to store the information in a theoretical way, in papers or whatever the data you have to store like this way. From the 1915 onwards, the data we have to store into the files as well as databases. Nowadays, the data we have to store, so it's different types of databases that are there. We have to store the databases as well as in big data. Okay, that is the evolution of databases. Then what is the evolution of database technology? So how 1915 onwards, the database technology, how it can improve? From the 1960, the data collection and stored into the data files. And then we have to create in 1960 database creation started. So that is a so from the 1960, the database you have to create it, and the data you have to store it into the databases. Generally, this data you have to store in tables, and the data you have to store into the database, stored into the file data into the tables. That is the database creation and IMS and network database management system have to use in 1960s. Now after in 1970s, the relational database we have to implement it. So the relationship between the two tables. So older days you have to represent in 1960s only tables, the data we have to store into the tables. But after the relationship between the one table and the second table, we have to represent it as that is a relational data model. That is simply call it as the relational database management system. So that we have to represent it in 1970s. And then after 1980s, actually we have to extend the relational database management system, like advanced data models you have to use, object-oriented databases, extended relational databases, directive.
ఫోన్ విషయం చెప్పనా
All of you listen. Please keep quiet in, and all of you press on mute button. Okay. So in 1980s, the extended relational databases you have to introduce. That is object-based databases also you have to introduce it in 1980s. And the application-oriented databases like spatial databases. Spatial databases mainly for designed for the spatial related information. So whenever you have to okay. So in 1980s, we have to implement the extended relational databases and object-based databases and spatial databases. So these all databases we have to implement in 1980s. Then after 1990s, you want to search the information from various databases like general databases, or relational databases, or object-based databases, spatial databases, XML databases, scientific databases. So you have the huge multimedia databases. All these databases, you want to search a particular information. That time you have to introduce that is the data mining concept. And the data you have to store in a particular format by using that is the data warehouse. So in 1990s, they have to introduce the data mining and data warehousing and the multimedia databases and web databases also you have to introduce. In 2000, that is the nowadays you have to use the stream data management and the mining and data mining and its applications, web technology related XML and data integration and global information systems. So these all databases. From that databases, you want to required information we have to gather by using the data mining concepts. So in the data mining, you have the huge number of algorithms you have to use. Mainly, particularly, you can use a priori algorithm, KNN algorithm. So these are the mainly you have to use these algorithms. You want to search from various databases. Yeah, this is regarding to that evolution of the database technology. Whenever you have to introduce the data warehousing and data mining. So now what is the data mining? Data mining is simply, you can say that it's knowledge discovery from data. So you have the huge collection of data from various databases. From those databases, you want to collect by using the data mining algorithms. Simply call it as extraction of data. What you reckon? For example, you have to consider Google form. Google, whenever you have to open the Google, just you have to type on a particular word. So whenever you have to type on a particular word, that word related information websites you have to represent it on displayed on screen. So that is the extraction of information from various data resources. So that is the extraction of interesting, non-trivial, implicit, and previously unknown, and potentially used patterns or no simply can represent knowledge from huge amount of data. And the alternative name of the data mining, simply call it as knowledge discovery databases. Knowledge discovery, simply call it as data mining from various databases. The alternate name of the data mining is simply call it as KDD. Knowledge discovery in various databases. Knowledge extraction, data pattern analysis, data archaeology, data degrading, information harvesting, business intelligence. These all are simply you can call it various different types of name you have to call it. And what is the main motto of this data mining is simply simple search and query process. From the expert systems you have to use mainly is this data mining mode. For example, you have to consider your real-time environment. Just open the Google web page, and in the Google web page you have to type a particular word. That word related all information you have displayed on screen. How you can gather that various databases? You know that? So first one, that all the data, various databases, you have to arrange it into the data warehouse. Then after, from that data warehouse, you want to a particular word whenever we have to type that related websites information we have displayed on screen. That is simply you want to extraction the information from the data warehouse. That is simply call it as data mining. Okay. This is regarding to the data mining. So see this is a process, knowledge discovery process. That is the KDD. Data mining is core of knowledge discovery process. So here, these are the various databases. So that all databases we have to cleaning, data cleaning, and we have to represent it as one data warehouse. Yeah. So this is the huge number of databases. For example, you have to consider that you have the Yahoo database and the Gmail database, YouTube database. So you have the various companies database. See here, this is the data cleaning. So from the various databases, we have to clean the data. That is the repeated data we have to clean, and we have to represent it as one box. That is a multi-dimensional cube. This is the multi-dimensional cube that you have to represent it in data warehouse. So after we have to arrange the data in data multi-dimensional cube. So that data warehouse. So whenever you want to type a particular keyword, that is a task related data, we have to select it, and the data we have to collect it, and by using the data mining concept. So by using the various data mining algorithms, and the pattern you want to display data pattern evaluation process. Finally, you have to display that is the knowledge. This is the step-by-step process of the knowledge discovery process in data mining, or simply call it as data mining. That is a KDD process. KDD process. First, this is the raw data. Then data warehouse, and from that data warehouse, you have to represent the task related data. Then after data mining concept, then finally you can prepare pattern evaluate. Finally, once the pattern evaluate is evaluated, it displays based on that knowledge. Whenever we have to type the on Google website web page, so that word related information we have to display on. That is simply call it as knowledge. See here, this is the data mining and business intelligence. So data mining and see here, that is the increasing the potential to support the business decisions. So actually, this is the data sources, papers, files, web documents, scientific experiments, database system. These all data sources. From these data sources, we have to data pre-processing. That is the data cleaning, data integration. We can do with the data pre-processing. That you have to represent it in data warehouse. And after that, data exploration. Summary, statistical summary of the data, querying the data, DMQL. Actually, you have to use the in databases, structured query language, SQL. SQL you have to use. structured query language. But whereas whenever you have to using the data, you have to mine the data. DMQL you have to use data mining and query language. Data mining query language you have to use. That is the querying and reporting we can do with the data exploration. And then after data mining, that is information discovery. And after mine the data, what the data we have to getting, that data we have to display in various presentations, like visual presentations, bar charts, cycle graph. So you have to represent it, that various types of data representations. Finally, you have to decision is made. So this is the step-by-step process of you have to find out the knowledge discovery of various database. So here you have to see in this diagram, increasing the potential to support the business decision. And here is the at the data sources level, DBA is working, but at the end user, we have to represent it as customer. That is a business analyst, data analyst. All are working for this to mine the data. But end user means you are the end user. That is the customer is the end user, and just we have to type on the Google form or Google web page. So what you have to type that what you have to type based on that you can gather the information from the various databases. This is regarding to the data mining and business intelligence. So see here, this is the confluence of the multiple disciplines. So data mining can working with all that database technology, statistics, visualization, other disciplines, algorithms, pattern recognition, machine learning. So all type of technology. Machine learning we have to use in artificial intelligence, patterns also, recognition, algorithms, data mining algorithms, and various disciplines you have to use it, this data mining. And what you have to gather the information, you have to display it in various formats, like that is visualization. And what you have to gather the information, that is you have to represent it in statistics way. So what is the maximum value? What is the minimum value? What is the average value? So these are all the statistics we have to find represented with the data mining. So all the database from the database technology means all you have all the databases, all type of databases we have to represent it, and from that various databases we have to collect the information by using the data mining. So this is the running out of time. We will continue in next class. If you have any doubts related to this one, please ask me. Next class.